It never looked like much, a small folding shovel made of steel and wood, dull, heavy, and almost primitive. Yet in every major war of the 20th century, from the muddy trenches of the Somme to the frozen hills of Korea, this tool outlasted guns, radios, and rations. It was the entrenching tool, the E-tool, a soldier's quiet companion and last line of defense. While weapons jammed, fuel froze, and supplies ran dry, this simple piece of steel kept men alive. It wasn't built to kill, it was built to endure, and in doing so, it became the true symbol of survival on the battlefield. When armies entered the age of mechanized warfare, everything changed except one truth: if you couldn't dig, you couldn't survive. In World War I, artillery shells turned open ground into instant death zones. The only escape was downward. Men learned to carve life out of mud. The first entrenching tools were crude spades with wooden handles issued to every infantryman. They dug trenches, foxholes, and graves. They cut through roots, clay, and frozen soil, turning chaos into protection. But the soldiers quickly found that their shovels were more than digging instruments. They were lifelines. In the cold and dark of no man's land, when ammunition ran out and the enemy was only yards away, that same shovel could become a weapon, a shield, even a cooking plate. It was the single piece of gear that never stopped being useful. By the 1910s, engineers began to refine the design. The German army introduced a folding entrenching tool with a sharpened edge that worked like a miniature axe. It could dig faster and cut wood or ice, which was, vital for trench reinforcements. The British copied the idea. The Americans improved it again. Each nation discovered that adaptability was more powerful than any single use. A good E-tool could dig, chop hammer, and strike. Soldiers carried it on their belts or strapped to their packs, never letting it out of reach. It wasn't glamorous, but when your survival depended on your own two hands, it was worth more than gold. World War II, really transformed the E-tool from just a simple spade into an icon of endurance. The United States Army's M1943 model introduced a folding steel head with two locking positions, straight for shoveling and 90 degrees for hoeing or chopping. Soldiers relied on it to dig foxholes under fire, to drain flooded camps, to bury mines, to build makeshift ovens, and even to defend themselves in hand-to-hand combat. In the dense jungles of the Pacific, it sliced through vines and bamboo. In the deserts of North Africa, it anchored tents in shifting sand. In the forests of Europe, it carved out defensive pits where exhausted men caught a few hours of sleep between battles. Its edges dulled with use, but honestly its purpose never did. The E-tool's silent power came from its simplicity. No bullets, no batteries, no moving parts to jam, just raw steel and leverage. Soldiers learned to sharpen one edge into a blade, polishing it on stones or tank armor until it could cut clean through a sapling or an enemy's helmet. In the chaos of close-quarters fighting, especially at night, the E-tool became a terrifying weapon. A rifle could misfire, but a shovel never did. Veterans told stories of men emerging from trench raids with nothing left but the dirt-stained shovel that saved their lives. It wasn't bravery, it was necessity. Even when the wars ended, the E-tool's journey didn't. The Korean and Vietnam Wars proved its timelessness. Newer materials appeared: carbon steel, reinforced aluminum, but the design barely changed. Soldiers dug defensive holes, built rain trenches, and cleared helicopter landing zones with the same tool their grandfathers used. For pilots shot down behind enemy lines, compact versions were stashed in survival kits, small enough to fit under a seat but powerful enough to dig through snow or soil for shelter. It remained the one piece of equipment trusted to perform under every condition. Frozen tundra, humid jungle, endless desert. When the technology failed, the shovel didn't. What the E-tool really represented was more than survival, it was adaptability. It was the proof that in war, as in life, ingenuity beats complexity. A soldier with an e-tool could create something out of nothing: a wall, a fire pit, a weapon, a refuge. Today, that same philosophy carries on far beyond the battlefield. Modern survivalists, campers, and off-grid builders still consider the e-tool one of the most valuable pieces of gear ever made. It folds small, weighs little, and replaces half your toolbox. It can dig latrines, cut firewood, bury waste, build windbreaks, and defend against danger if needed. Some modern versions even include serrated edges for sawing wood or notches for hammering tent stakes. But even the old steel originals, rusted and worn, still work perfectly after 70 years. That's not nostalgia, that's craftsmanship. In civilian hands, the e-tool has become a symbol of preparedness. Gardeners use it to turn soil, hikers to dig fire pits, and rescue teams to clear debris after storms. In remote places where survival depends on practicality, its legacy endures. You can buy flashier gadgets, but none will match the raw reliability of a folding spade forged for war. It's proof that the simplest designs often stand the longest test of time. There's also something philosophical about it. Every soldier who carried an e-tool understood that their greatest weapon wasn't the steel in their hand, it was the mindset it represented. Resourcefulness, patience, the will to create safety in chaos. That's the real lesson hidden in this humble shovel, that strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, covered in dirt, and built to endure. Collectors of wartime relics often find that old entrenching tools are among the few items still fully functional. The wood may have darkened, the metal may bear scars, but it still folds, locks, and digs like the day it was issued. Each one carries stories written in rust, of frozen nights, hurried trenches, desperate hands clawing for shelter. They are the forgotten fingerprints of survival. So when people imagine a soldier's weapon, they picture guns and grenades. But history tells a different story. The most dependable weapon of all was never designed to kill. It was designed to keep life going when everything else broke down. The entrenching tool stands as a timeless reminder that true survival depends on function, not flash, on resilience, not rage. It was the soldier's quiet ally, the builder of hope in the darkest places, and a testament to human ingenuity forged in war. If this story of forgotten resilience inspires you, subscribe to In the Beginning. Each week, we uncover the real inventions, tools, and minds that shaped survival through history's hardest hours. Because sometimes, the smallest tools carried the greatest strength.